isn't supposed to be personal. In fact, it's supposed to be the opposite. A reminder to suppress one's own myopia and care about what's happening around us, care about people who live around us. We mostly live in our heads, but we do need to look around us, and keeping that in mind, Arup and I are going to try and keep pace with the fast changing news cycle of India and do a zoomed in look at an incident or an event from multiple angles. We will talk to you the way we journalists talk to one another. Today, we're going to be talking about Maharashtra and what happened there. So, last month, Eknath Shinde, who was then the Urban Affairs Chief Minister of Maharashtra, he decided to launch a rebellion, took away nearly 40 MLAs, managed to whisk them away, and he broke the coalition government of Sharad Pawar's NCP, Congress and the Shiv Sena. The government at that point was led by Udhav Thakre. Now let's go forward. There was a lot of drama, there was a lot of state hopping by the MLAs, and now you got Eknath Shinde installed as the Chief Minister. What are you predicting for the Shiv Sena, since he claims to be the real Shiv Sena?
Before we talk about Maharashtra politics, I think we should let the viewers know that the amount of elections both of us have covered, there is one major discovery, that politics is not complicated. It sounds complicated, it seems complicated, but it is not. And to decipher the code, you have to just answer one question, which is why something is happening. So if you put your hand on that pulse, a lot of things become easy, which is what we will try and do on this show. Now, going back to Maharashtra, where the numbers are concerned, I just want to quickly go over the numbers once because it gives a sense of what might come. So, the Shinde Sena has close to 40 MLAs, and it is supported by the BJP, which has 106 members in the Legislative Assembly, so they have a very comfortable majority. So they will be able to ride out the rest of the time moving into the 2024 elections. That is assuming if the government survives till then. The second point is Udhav Thakre's Shiv Sena, the original Shiv Sena, is now left with something like a 16 or a 15 MLAs. And so there are quite a few questions being raised as to whether the MVA will survive or not. My main point is that even if the MVA survives, who will support whom? Because earlier, the original Shiv Sena had 55 MLAs. Now you are down to 16 or 15. So it is supported by two other parties. One is Sharad Pawar's NCP, which has 53 MLAs. Congress has 44. So even if this MVA survives, then moving into the next election, the main point will be that will NCP and the Congress support a Shiv Sena which has only 15 MLAs. So that power equation has to change.
So you had Prithviraj Chavan now saying, a Congress doyen saying that yes, we will support, but obviously it's too early to predict what happens. Let's come back to Shiv Sena and to Udhav, and the fact, there is no doubt about the fact that he was caught napping. There is no doubt about the fact that, like Sharad Pawar said, it would have taken a long time for Eknath Shinde to piece this together, and he was completely unaware. What does it do to regenerate itself, and will you put your neck on the line and say, is this the end of the Shiv Sena led by the Thakres?
I will never say it is the end of the Shiv Sena led by the Thakres, like I will never say that it is the end of the Congress, even if it loses the last two states and it fulfills Narendra Modi's dream of a Congress Mukt Bharat. It doesn't mean it's the end of the Congress. But every party has to go through its highs and the lows. This is probably one of the toughest lows for Udhav Thakre. The Shiv Sena, as we know, has split twice in 2005 with Narayan Rane walking out, Raj Thakre forming his MNS. There were two bad hits, Chhagan Bhujbal also leaving. But it was never this badly hit. This is a vertical split. So those were smaller splinters and they formed their own group or coterie or aligned with someone else. But this is a vertical split. This is a very serious split. So the point that you have raised is very valid, which is that what does Shiv Sena, the original Shiv Sena, do? Or let's say Udhav Thakre's Shiv Sena do? So they have the Thakre family behind them. Bala Saheb Thakre's direct legacy, his own son is there. Aditya Thakre is there. Udhav Thakre's wife is very, very active in politics, and it was she who also sort of motivated him to assume the role of the CM. But I believe that they need to go back to the grassroots, which is where the corporation elections are fought. The corporator in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, is very powerful. They are very influential, and that is where the game lies, that how do they connect with those people, how the regeneration happens, how they fight the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation elections, which the BMC polls, which are due in October, and that is where the big bucks lie. Since 1997, Shiv Sena has had a hold on the BMC, which explains their strength.
And that is also, like you said, the coffers. That's where all the money comes in. The elections are in October. So are we expecting that Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena and the original Shiv Sena will fight it out at the BMC level?
Absolutely. The BJP will also be a very main player. Some of the numbers that I have before me are very interesting, and like they say, numbers never lie. So where the BMC is concerned, in the last three elections, 2007, 2012 and 2017, if you look at the results of those three, the BJP grew in stature. So in 2007, it had 25 seats, then in the next one grew to 31, and in the 2017 elections, it had 82 seats, which is a dramatic increase, which is a massive increase, which means that the BJP has been able to set up under Devendra Fadnavis, been able to work the Maratha lobby, the grassroots lobby. They've been able to connect with the Mumbaikars also, and promise them a dream that this is what transformation can happen. Correspondingly, Shiv Sena, in those 3 years, it was a very healthy 84, dropped to 75, went back to 84. So they have 84 seats, but there's a difference of only 2 between BJP and Shiv Sena. Where the Congress is concerned, it dropped from 52 to 31. NCP also dropped from 13 to 9. And I have the names of 3 Shiv Sena MLAs who are considered very powerful and who can make a major dent where Shiv Sena is concerned, which is Udhav Thakre's party is concerned. And those 3 names are Yamini Jadhav from Bhaikalla, Sada Sarvankar from Dadar, and Mangesh Kodalkar from Kurla. So these 3 have all defected, and they are part of the Shinde Sena, and they can cause a lot of damage. So it will be very interesting to see that how this corporate elections are fought, and what Udhav and his coterie can do.
Let's talk a little bit about Eknath Shinde, because the corporate world, especially in Bombay, is going to be very concerned and looking towards this leadership now and what it means. Of course, behind him is the BJP, and it's possible that the BJP will be pulling strings when it comes to corporate policies. He's already announced some kind of a drop in VAT coming in, and it's obviously a CBM, a confidence building measure. There is this interesting backstory behind Eknath Shinde and his rise and his brand of politics. What is that?
The backstory is very interesting because in India we speak a lot about the Guru Shishya Parampara. So I would say that there are 2 acts here. One is the original Guru Shishya Parampara. So that happened in the Shiv Sena between Balasaheb Thakre and one of his very close confidants and right-hand men, whose name was Anand Dighe, who was from Thane as a corporator, grew in stature. He was then called Dharamveer. And so he remained a bachelor, and I'm giving these stats because it sort of defines a human being. Anand Dighe was seen more like a godfather in Thane and in the surrounding areas. He would hold darbars, he would address the problems of the locals, help people with admissions, with any other problem that they had, and they would go towards him. Now the point to remember is, Balasaheb Thakre and Anand Dighe never fought an election, but they kept the hold on the party. That is number 1. Number 2 is that Anand Dighe, no matter how loyal he was to Balasaheb and considered him his guru, he never allowed Balasaheb to enter Thane in a metaphorical sense. He kept his hold, and everybody knew that if you had work to be done in Thane, it is Anand Dighe. So he kept that thing going, and he mentored a lot of people. One of his prime mentors was none other than Eknath Shinde.
Disciple.
Yeah, he was his disciple. So then again, it's a different kind of Guru Shishya Parampara, and Eknath Shinde, unlike Anand Dighe, has crossed the line. As we know, the rebellion has happened. He's formed the Shinde Sena. He's aligned with the BJP. He's speaking about Hindutva. But at the same time, I feel if you look at the Guru Shishya Parampara in the round 2, so it is something between an Udhav and an Eknath Shinde. Now, it may not be typically a Guru Shishya thing, it could be friends or whatever, but the fact is that Udhav Thakre did trust Eknath Shinde. He did allow him massive autonomy. He did give him the urban affairs ministry, which no other minister, chief minister, has ever given it that portfolio to someone else. He, in fact, it made a very worried Sharad Pawar say that he's giving too many things to Eknath Shinde. And last but not the least, Shinde himself admitted recently that his name was proposed by Udhav Thakre to become the next chief minister of MVA, but it was opposed by Ajit Pawar. So it is not as if Udhav Thakre was dying to become the chief minister. It is not as if Eknath Shinde was pushed back. So there are different factors at play.
Let's close the discussion with, in all of this, we've not talked about the main master behind all this, the BJP. What, according to you, will BJP be thinking, keeping 2024 in mind?
See, the way this game has been played, it has been played by Delhi. It has been played by Amit Shah and JP Nadda with the blessings of Mr. Narendra Modi. This has not been played by Devendra Fadnavis, who would have preferred to be the CM and not a deputy CM, point one. Two, if you ask me that was it a good move, I think it's an excellent move, because if the BJP candidate like a Devendra Fadnavis had become a CM under these circumstances, BJP is already being blamed for bringing certain governments down. So this was bad publicity. Now here what they are saying is that the Shiv Sena has split on its own for its own reasons, for ideological or whatever they may be, and we are supporting Eknath Shinde. And we will ensure with our experience to help them towards the next election. But the BJP would be looking, when they hit the 2024 elections, they would want to increase the numbers, they would want to form, if not the government on its own, look for an ally who would be very, very closely associated with them. Can it be Eknath Shinde is the main question.
All right. Well, that's it for today on Maharashtra. If there's anything you felt we needed to add, if there were any other questions that you wanted answered, do write to us and we'll take it up.